In approving these elements by preponderance of evidence, Crafton in turn bears the burden of proving by preponderance of evidence that its terminations were for cause, or that it was otherwise justified in assuming operational control. I find in Fortis's favour. The key employees were not terminated for cause, as defined by the EPA, and thus retained operational control of unknown worlds. None of Crafton's proffered justifications have merit. This is about as damning of it as a thing that a judge can say about your argument. Nothing you said has any merit. To remedy Crafton's breaches, I grant a tailored specific performance remedy outlined in Section 3 below. So it then discusses what the EPA, the agreement that they signed on purchase, would define cause as an intentional act of fraud or dishonesty in connection with his or her duties or in the course of his or her employment with the company. So any felony, any guilty pleas, no contest to a felony, willful act of omission by such individuals that constitutes gross misconduct. Basically, if you're not a criminal, you're not stealing, you're doing anything crazy, you're not, you can't have been fired for cause and have it be legit. So then he goes over the only thing that this could apply to, and that is dishonesty. What is dishonesty in a legal standard? And Crafton argued that it needed to be a broader you need a broader interpretation. They argued that intentional does not require an intent to deceive. In Crafton's view, cause exists if the act is deliberate, regardless of the actor's subjective purpose. Crafton's interpretation is unsupported. He then goes over the data downloads, which again is pretextual. This is something that they made up after they'd already been fired. It's not even really relevant because, as he says here, post-termination justifications. The sole justification...
I made so much money today. I made like 400 million or something. I made like 400 million today or something. I've made so much money today. It definitely was like 40 times what I lost yesterday. It is 40 times what I lost yesterday. I was bummed out. I lost 13 Tristans. Then the next day they paid out 400 fucking million, probably more, like 5 or something like that. And it's like, that's okay. 15 Tristans is like, I don't know, 85 mil or something like that. I don't even know what the math is. And this shit was 450 mil. It's okay to lose 10 Tristans yesterday if I clear 500 mil in 2 days. Like, what the fuck is that, man? That's crazy. I've only lost like 2 Algoses at probably about 30 mil and about fucking 11 Tristans at, I don't know, 8 mil a pop. What's that? That's 88 plus the 2 Algoses is probably 32 mils. So that's like, yeah, that's 112 mil I lost just fucking around trying to actually be in faction warfare. And then I cleared 400 fucking million in a single day. These ice miners are spending all day trying to get that. And I get it like just AFK. I like that they made faction warfare their baby. I suggested to Trash Panda that they do that. I was like, the only compelling people... What the hell was that? Did you kill my plant, kitty? Don't kill my plant, kitty. That's a gift from my mother. Don't kill stuff, kitty. The hell was that? You knocked something over, kitty. You stop that now, kitty. You're bored. You want to go outside? Yeah, go outside. It's not raining. What the hell was that? You knocked my thing off, kitty. This is my iPods. My cat, she knocked my iPods into the trash can. The fucking B word. Like, look at this shit. Like, this is $100 device, and she knocked it in the fucking trash can. I wonder if I ever would have seen it again if I didn't hear it. My cat is a B word when she's bored. So am I.
In its 1st of July termination notices was key employees.
I really don't do boredom. Boredom's a trigger for me. I'll be like, why am I bored right now? I'll ask the person sitting next to me, why am I bored right now?
Intention to proceed with a premature release of Subnautica.
Why am I bored right now? It's because you got me stuck here. Stuff like that. It's just a joke. And I'll be like, sorry, I'm just kidding, you know? But it's like, why am I here? You got me stuck here, you know?
Too. Which
why am I bored right now or whatever? Like that's that's my cat. She's like, why am I bored right now? And she knocks my iPods into the trash.
Violated obligations
Thank God I heard it, or I might not have ever seen them ever again.
To the employment agreement. During litigation, however,
what was that sound? What did she do? And I went and looked, and it was my iPods. Fucking B word. I love these headphones. I wear them every single fucking day. Like, I love these headphones. They're brilliant new. They're a brilliant new addition in my life, you know?
Walked that back and pivoted to the 2 post hoc reasons analysed above.
God.
So how this looks from a judge, we fired these people for this reason. Okay, they're suing you. They're bringing you to court. Explain why you fired them. Oh, it was for these 2 reasons. What do you mean? You've just made that up. After you fired them, how could you even argue that that's why you fired them? Like, are you in the fucking Minority Report? Like, are you living in the Matrix? Are you looking forward in time? Even if Krafton's newly proffered grounds met the contractual definitions of cause, Krafton's reliance on them would fail under the mend the hold and after acquired evidence doctrines. Delaware courts employ these doctrines to guard against pretextual maneuvering by employers. He then goes over what actually happened. Krafton's true focus in June of 2025 wasn't on the data downloads. It was avoiding financial exposure. It knew Subnautica 2 was poised to achieve a $250 million earnout, which can be viewed as a catastrophic failure. Krafton undertook Project X to either force a deal on the earnout or execute a takeover of the studio. In early June, Park warned Kim that, quote, it seems to be highly likely that the earnout will be still paid if the sale goal is achieved, regardless of dismissal with cause. Therefore, there isn't too much we can practically gain other than punishment with a simple dismissal alone, whereas I'm worried that we may be exposed to lawsuit and reputational risk. Man, should have listened to the humans on this one. Kim responded with deep frustration, lamenting this is a contract under which we can only be dragged around given this maneuvering. Krafton.
I think I'm going to switch to VNI. This BF Runner 2.
Some witnesses lacked credibility when insisting they would have fired the leaders of a $500 million acquisition solely over a data backup with an evasive statement to IT. When an employer faces a contractual payout it wishes to avoid, it is heavily incentivized to go rummaging through the employee's history to find any reason it can to announce the termination was really for cause. This is precisely what happened here. Frustrated by the key employee's refusal to forfeit operational control and facing a 9-figure liability, Krafton went searching for a pretext. This court of equity will not permit a party to use the after-acquired evidence doctrine to fabricate cause where the evidence shows the termination decision was made for different reasons. The doctrine prevents a wrongdoer from profiting from concealed misconduct. It does not grant an employer license to retroactively invent grounds for termination. The judge might as well just be slapping him around the face while he's doing it, giving him one of these, like, back and forth around the face. He's absolutely destroying this CEO. He then goes over the fact that the founders never lost the right to operational control. So even taking the control away from them, you were still in the wrong. So some of the funniest quotes that they used in here as evidence. This one is from CEO Kim, the Krafton guy. He says, quote, everyone admits the contract was a bad deal, but the problem is that we keep being the fool even afterward. It's not about the money. Spoiler alert, it was about the money. It just feels awful to be taken advantage of. For a registered director, being a pushover would even amount to breach of fiduciary duty. So see, he's arguing he needs to fuck these people over, that his company agreed to these terms explicitly, knowing the terms ahead of time. They don't argue that this was like snuck in there in like some cheeky agreement. They signed this knowing it, And he's arguing, oh, if we even pay these people out and don't fuck them over, that would be a breach of fiduciary duty. Obviously, having to pay much more money and having your company's reputation dragged through the mud and even damaging the money that Subnautica 2 may earn from this, and delaying the game and all these things, and the game potentially being made worse by the people who were in charge of it being ousted for multiple months in a big lawsuit, you could definitely make an argument that in fact that is breach of fiduciary duty. Either way, what we've got here now is a case of the two other employees, the two other key personnel. I think they're not going to be involved, but Gil is CEO again of the Subnautica 2 development. He's going to be at the head, which is funny because now Krafton are forced to work with him, somebody they've just fucked over, and he's going to make the game. Hopefully the game releases and does really well, but then they're going to have to pay out this money. So Subnautica 2 is probably going to release in the not too distant future because they've only got 258 days remaining for him to earn the payout of the $250 million owed. So this game is going to release within the next 258 days, probably, most likely sooner rather than later. What that looks like, since the key people haven't been involved for months, who knows? But phase 2 of this lawsuit, as it continues, is gonna probably see Krafton lose even more money than the $250 million that they're originally going to have to pay. I do just want to read you what Krafton responded to Kotaku when they posted this article. When
that's so much money
they were talking about it, and this is just...
This will cause a war in the scene. These developers are going to fucking war with each other, just like Donald Trump. They've gone sick with the power of how much money they make. I don't think it should be legal for them to charge more than $20 for video games anymore, because they still sell 600,000 to fucking 5 or 20 or even 50 million copies. When you look at that fucking money, they don't need that much money. They're software developers. They sit on a computer and they use some brand new like design software, which is like their main expense, to make like a, you know, an artistic experience and stuff. All this money and art, money should not have ever... This white guy's racist towards Chinese people, and he's attacking his own faction. We're all in Galente military right now, and we're all in the same faction, but he's attacking this Chinese dude and threatening to gank him and stuff, even though we're on the same side. Is so fucking stupid, and you can see the racism. I want to pull the pointer window, and I want to make a, or what is it called when you block somebody? Is it yeah, it is block, right? So block. I want to block. How do you find block? How is... to go soon, which sucks.
It's just chef's kiss. Krafton puts players at the heart of every decision, and that will never change. Oh yeah, you really put
sure.
the
You mean you put the money the players represent?
players at the heart of the decision when all you were talking about is the money that you had to pay, and you only would have needed to pay if the game did well. Which, if the game does well, it means the players are enjoying
the game. Yeah.
How can you
Which is far more important than your money.
And say this? It's literally in black and white. It's not only that the judge has said this, he's using your words that meant that you did this over the money, full stop, and at the expense of the players. The publisher called to Kotaku in an emailed statement, over the past several months, Krafton and Unknown Worlds team have worked tirelessly to strengthen the game and prepare it for an early access release, with a continued focus on delivering the best possible experience for the Subnautica community. We look forward to pushing out a newly updated version as soon as possible for players. It continued, while we respectfully disagree with today's ruling, we are evaluating our options as we determine our path forward. I'm sure you do disagree. Today's ruling does not resolve the former executive's claim for damages or an earn-out related to Subnautica 2, with further litigation still pending. In the meantime, Krafton's immediate focus remains unchanged, delivering the best possible game for Subnautica fans. Oh yeah, of course you do. Of course you do, my boy. It's not like we can see in plain text exactly what you mean and exactly what's important to you. And that a judge completely disagreed with what you're saying, but that's it, I guess. That's the Subnautica 2 situation. And thanks for watching as always. Just an update if you've got this far. Oreo had his surgery on Friday. He's doing okay. He's still in some pain. We have a checkup with him with the vet tomorrow. To everyone who donated on the Patreon to help with the expenses of his surgery and everything, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm sure you'll see him on the channel again.
No, it's too dark. They are going to cut off my cat's leg. He's got a terrible, well, not my cat, but my mom's cat. He's got a terrible cyst in his leg and he can't walk, and they're going to cut off his leg. And I'm not going to leave that here in the comment, but it is affecting me a little bit. My cat's brother, his name is Sunny. Her name is Sissy. And that's because my stepfather is not a very, obviously he was a very imaginative man, but he thought of them as Sonny and Sissy because they showed up like brother and sister, and they were a brother and sister pair that he found about 50 miles south of here, and he brought them home because they were like, you know, homeless cats. And Sonny and Sissy turned out to be the greatest thing in all of our lives. I think my stepfather would say that. I would say my mother would say that, and I think I would say that too. Sonny and Sissy ended up being the greatest things in our lives in the last 10 years. And Sissy is perfect health. I love her. I got the gem. But her brother is overweight and sick because he's been developing a cyst in his leg for 4 years, and we didn't know what it was until the vet finally figured it out, ran x-rays and figured it out. It was a mystery. It was a veterinary mystery. And they've taken him to the vet so many times because he stopped walking and they couldn't figure out why. And they thought it was because they were feeding him too much, but it was because he couldn't walk. And because he had a cyst in his leg that's gone cancerous and it is going to travel through his whole body and kill him. So they're going to chop off his leg. And I'm sorry for the dark content, but that's what's actually going to happen. It fucking sucks. My mom's getting ready for it. She's like, oh, my cat's going to get his leg chopped off, and it's fucking terrible. She just had surgery today, like minor surgery and stuff, because she had a problem, but I'm not going to say what it is. It's her business. And it's just like, and we lost our stepfather this summer, so it's like major surgery this year. We lost our I lost my stepfather this summer. We had to inherit his cats, and they're sick. She has a terrible urinary tract infection that never stops. It's been there all of her life for some reason. Like, for some reason, she's got like weird, shitty parasites living in her urinary tract from something she did when she was a kitten, when she was homeless. It's something she did when she was a kitten, when she was homeless, put a terrible urinary tract in her. She's probably got something worse, like cancer. She probably has cancer, but we don't really know what it is. She's probably got cancer in her. Probably in her. What is it for your urinary tract? Her urinary tract. She's probably got cancer in her. Oh, hey, have a fight. Why wouldn't I micro warp drive? Why wouldn't I wouldn't micro warp drive. I hit the button. I hit the button. You wouldn't do it. Maybe this guy can't kill me. I don't know. He's in a Republic Fleet Firetail. I don't know. Can you do it? I don't know. Can you do this? I don't know. I'm killing you. I'm killing him. He can't do it. He doesn't have the damage. Mad Doge Lee. I don't like his name. You're gonna lose, bitch. Now we approach. You lost this. Sorry. Oh, I got a good PvP fight. I love you. Good fight, bitch. Good fight. Ah, you do no damage for some reason. Are you fit wrong or what? You did no damage to me. Sorry. I'm going to run out of cap here. And he wants me to chase him, which isn't too good. I'll just run out of cap and he might escape, but I don't know. How is he alive? My fucking drone should have killed him. That's why. He defanged me. He defanged me, that's why. He's tried to escape. Don't escape, bitch. He put damage on my drones. He's getting away. The drones need to actually kill him. How is he doing this? He's getting away. How is that right? No, I'm the same speed as you. Die, bitch. Die. Die. He's in structure. He's going to get away somehow. He can't warp. He'll have to align.
The capacitor is empty.
Oh, no. There. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. My cap ran out. He's going to win. He's going to leave. He's going to leave. Fucking asshole. Fucking kill him. Yeah, he left.
Again, pretty soon, as he's got his little medical shirt off, we have to separate him from the other cats at the moment so that they don't risk like fighting, because there's like a weird thing with cats and scents when they've been to vets and things, as well as them helping him get to his stitches and start fucking with his wound. So yeah, thanks for watching. Check the links in the video description.
So they're gonna cut off his leg. The cyst became cancer. Cancer's crawling up his leg. He can't walk, so he got really fat. We thought he was just greedy and fat, but no, he was sick and he couldn't walk, and we didn't know. And so now they're gonna cut off his leg, which is shitty. We didn't know what it was. How would you know? We didn't know to like he didn't get like a cyst. The cyst didn't grow to the point where we would have seen it or felt it. It's just there and it's killing him. It fucking sucks. His leg's not bigger or swollen or anything. Nobody knew. The vet didn't know the first like five or 10 times they looked for it. They just didn't know. Now we know. He was faster than me. Fucking pussy.
I've been not posting on this channel a little bit recently because I've been working pretty hard on posting new content to the video essay channel. Check out GameStop's 10% off. Use my code sitewide, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe. Peace.
The first thing that we've got to talk about is we are now more than 2 weeks into the U.S. and Israel's war in Iran. The death toll is rising, the fallout is growing, and Donald Trump, he is asking for help from allies that he has continuously insulted, bullied, and threatened. And as he continues to make threats, at least some are now refusing to get roped in, and the president, he might be considering another option: U.S. troops on the ground. And so let's start there, because it's believed that any potential ground operation, it's likely to target a place called Karg Island. And the military actually just attacked it for the first time during this war on Friday.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm sorry, but you know what immediately came to my head? Cayo Perico. Cayo Perico. It's the Grand Theft Auto 5 island that they added that wasn't in the original game. Cayo Perico heist is what they call it. Look, it's Cayo Perico, isn't it? It's the same thing as Cayo Perico. They call this what? What is the name of this? Karg Island. But they called it Cayo Perico.
To target a place called Karg Island. And the military actually just attacked it for the first time during this war on Friday, with Trump announcing the operation on social media and claiming the United States Central Command
It looks like Cayo Perico.
Executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East. And Dad, for reasons of decency, I have chosen not.
What? Moments ago, in my direction, the United States Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East.
To wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. And with that, the next day, CENTCOM confirmed what was described as a large-scale precision strike, saying U.S. forces successfully struck more than 90 Iranian military targets while preserving the oil infrastructure. And that last part's key because Karg Island, which is located roughly 15 miles off the coast of Iran, it is home to facilities that export 90% of the country's oil. So taking out that infrastructure, it would be a massive blow to the regime there. But it would also very likely throw the markets into even more chaos. It could cripple whatever hypothetical new government would take power, if that's a thing that actually happens. And it would make it harder for the U.S. to benefit from Iran's oil in a Venezuela-style scenario that Trump has reportedly pushed for. But with all that, you still had Trump telling NBC on Saturday that the strikes there had totally demolished most of the island and that the U.S. may hit it a few more times just for fun. But you then also had a senior White House official telling Axios, no one should read into anything more than what the president announced and that the president has made no decisions on Karg Island. But that official also said that could change if the effort to clear the strait drags on, saying the president is not going to wait around and let the Iranians dictate the pace of the conflict. And so with that, we're now seeing reports that Trump is seriously considering trying to seize Karg Island. And he's reportedly drawn to this idea because it would constitute a, quote, economic knockout of the regime, essentially defunding the Iranian government without all the downsides of destroying the oil infrastructure there. But of course, there are still downsides. One, the move would require U.S. boots on the ground there. Two, it could still push Iran to launch even more aggressive strikes against oil facilities and pipelines across the region, especially in Saudi Arabia. But despite the risks, the U.S. is now deploying 25,000 more Marines to the Middle East, adding to the 50,000 already there. And while officials decline to say what their mission actually is, they're reportedly equipped to join a potential operation to seize the island. And notably, that's not the only boots-on-the-ground scenario being considered. The U.S. and Israel have also reportedly discussed sending special forces into Iran to secure its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. And two American officials told NBC News last week that Trump has privately expressed a serious interest in deploying troops inside Iran, either for an operation like that or one aimed at enabling the U.S. to benefit from Iran's oil production like what came out of the operation in Venezuela. Trump also claimed in that NBC interview this weekend that Iran is ready to negotiate a ceasefire, but he's not ready to make a deal. But Iran's foreign minister then told CBS News that his country was ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes, and denied Trump's claim that Iran wanted to make a deal, saying, "We never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation." And with that, despite Trump's threats, he insisted that Iran would continue to lock down the Strait of Hormuz as long as necessary, saying the strait is open but closed to our enemies, to those who carried out this cowardly aggression against us and to their allies. And with that, you've now had several non-Iranian oil tankers, including from India, Pakistan, and Turkey, getting permission to go through the strait, which is actually very notable because until now, Iran had been fully blocking Gulf countries from exporting their oil while only allowing tankers picking up Iranian oil to pass freely, or keeping its own supply flowing to American adversaries, including China, which is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil. And you have many experts saying that as long as the blockade holds, Trump may not be able to end the war even if he wanted to. Iran starting to pick and choose who they're letting through, it might actually give them more leverage, especially if traditional U.S. allies decide that negotiating with Iran directly is the better move, right? Rather than having to rely on Trump. And actually on that note, you had Trump claiming in a social media post over the weekend that the U.S. and several other countries will send warships to the Gulf to reopen commercial shipping. And with that, he also called on China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others to send ships so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated, and adding, in the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. One way or the other, we will soon get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. With him then following up a few hours later saying, the countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage, and we will help a lot. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries so that everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. It should have always been a team effort, and now it will be. It will bring the world together toward harmony, security, and everlasting peace. But then you had Trump demanding that NATO countries help the U.S. secure the strait, while telling the Financial Times it will be very bad for the future of NATO if they refuse. Words that were seen by many as a threat. And with that, while he claimed that he was getting a good response, so far, at least as of me recording this, no country is publicly committed. And in fact, some have outright rejected the idea. Right, with Germany's defense minister, for example, saying, "This is not our war. We did not start it." What does Donald Trump expect from, say, a handful or two of European frigates in the Strait of Hormuz? He needs them to achieve what the mighty U.S. Navy cannot manage on its own there? Is that it? That's the question I'm asking myself. You also had a spokesperson for the government confirming that there would be no German involvement and pointing out that Trump started this war without them, saying, "I would also like to remind you that the U.S. and Israel did not consult us before the war, and that Washington explicitly stated at the start of the war that European assistance was neither necessary nor desired." Now, with all that said, the UK is apparently considering sending ships and mine-hunting drones to help out. We also had Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying that he urged a swift resolution to the conflict and insisted that his country would not be drawn into wider war. And while France has previously said that it would be willing to escort once the security situation stabilizes, that just doesn't seem to be the case yet. And you've actually had the country, along with Italy, asking to talk with Iran about allowing their ships to pass through the strait, which shows that, some countries are looking for ways to protect their shipping and their energy without Trump. But also, of course, in the meantime, the war just continues. Overall, more than 2,100 people have reportedly been killed so far, including 1,300 Iranian civilians, 850 people in Lebanon,
Fucking
13
worthless
American service members, and at least
cock-sucking
12 people in
assholes.
Israel. And
You
today,
took
U.S. and Israeli
us to another war. Suck my dick, worthless right wing. Suck my fucking dick. I want you out of office and I want you out of power. Suck my dick, right wing. You'll never have power in this country again. We know that every time you come in power, you immediately send us to war. You're never going to have power in this country again. You might as well renounce the Bible. You're never going to control this country again. You stupid, worthless right-wing cocksuckers.
Forces have continued to bombard Iran, while Iranian counterattacks across the region have kept up as well. And notably, with all this, you had an Israeli spokesperson telling reporters,
warmongers dropping bombs, big surprise. Right-wing fucking violent cocksuckers, big surprise.
There are detailed operational plans for the war with Iran for the next 3 weeks, along with additional plans extending further. Although what the timeline is actually going to be, that still remains unknown right now. Or with Trump saying that the war will end when he feels it in his bones, as experts also warn that he's risking getting trapped in a cycle of escalation that might not end anytime soon. And then also, regardless of what happens with Iran, Israel's war in Lebanon, that might continue independently. Right, today, officials said they were yet again expanding their offensive against Hezbollah there, saying that the military was moving into new areas areas without giving new details. Although there are also fears that it's really just laying the groundwork for occupying large parts of the country. And then also, as we've talked about before, the near perpetual violence in Palestinian territories, that's not let up during all of this either. In fact, just over the past few days, Israeli forces killed at least 12 Palestinians between the West Bank and Gaza. First, you had troops shooting and killing 4 members of the same family, including 2 young children in the West Bank, with Israeli authorities claiming the vehicle had accelerated toward the troops who feared for their safety and opened fire. And then in Gaza, an airstrike killed 8 police officers affiliated with the Hamas-controlled government, according to the Gazan Interior Ministry. And then, while the growing fallout with Trump's war in Iran, it continues to take lives, the war inside of his own party is growing as well. And when I say that it's gotten messier, it even involves Trump weighing in on micro-penis allegations, with the 2 main players there being Megyn Kelly and Mark Levin, right? You know, Megyn Kelly is a former Fox News host or an independent conservative commentator who really wanted to share that she cares about the nuance in the definition of pedophile. And then Mark Levin, he's a conservative radio host and Fox News host, and Trump actually appointed him to Homeland Security Advisory Council last year. But Mark and Megyn, they have very different ideas about this war, right? Megyn's been very critical of it, saying that we are fighting this war for Israel, that U.S. troops are dying for foreign interests. Right? Mark, on the first day of the war, he praised Trump and our, quote, wonderful Israeli allies for fighting a righteous and monumentally important battle for freedom, security, and humanity. And while notably, this is not the first issue they've clashed on, things really took a turn over the weekend when Mark took issue with some of the content that Megyn was reposting, right? Including one tweet claiming that the man who attacked a Michigan synagogue had lost family members in a recent Israeli attack in Lebanon. And just for context's sake, the New York Times has since backed that up, saying that the man's brother was a Hezbollah commander killed in an airstrike, and 3 other relatives were reportedly killed in the attack as well. But Mark, he was not happy about Megyn's choice to retweet that. And so he shared a post condemning Megyn, claiming that she was using her platform to imply that the Michigan attack was excusable or justified, rather than calling her evil, diabolical, and gone, to which Megyn shot back, "I'm sorry you have a micro-penis, Mark, but don't drag the rest of us into your drama." With things just kind of devolving from there, with Mark calling Megyn an emotionally unhinged, lewd, and petulant wreck who has completely revealed and destroyed herself, saying she's everything people says she is, but much worse. And so Megyn then just doubled down on the micro-penis stuff, dubbing him micro-penis Mark, and claiming he tweets about me obsessively in the crudest, nastiest terms possible. Literally more than some stalkers I've had arrested. He doesn't like it when women like me fight back because of his micro-penis. With her then going on to claim that Mark has shitposted about her over 100 times since November, but she's only responded 6 times, at first asking him to tone it down before he gets someone killed. And then you also had Mark calling her a harlot who wakes up and has micro-penises on her mind. And so you then also saw a ton of people responding to what was happening. Everyone weighing in, but easily the biggest name was Donald Trump himself. With Trump coming to the defense of Mark Levin, calling him a truly great American patriot who is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. And the president then adding, he is a true conservative and intellect far smarter than those who criticize him. When you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember that they are jealous and angry human beings whose sway is much less than the public understands, and will, now that they know where I stand, rapidly diminish. Those people that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside, as do the people whose ideas, policies, and footings are not sound. They are not MAGA. I am, and MAGA includes not allowing Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime, to have a nuclear...
Allowing? It's their country, motherfucker! They're not America! You don't allow them to do anything! You're a worthless piece of shit white man who's pushed his borders with children and women and innocent people far too long, you fucking piece of shit Hitler. Suck my dick, you fucking neck pussy.
Weapon to blow up the United States of America. And so Mark then thanked Trump for the post, saying that he was humbled and honored by the message. But then you had Megyn seemingly not believing that it was an authentic message, writing that micro-penis Mark is such a small man, he had to go beg the president for a pat on the head in the middle of a war to make himself feel better about, well, you know, just like all feckless weakling bullies, Micro can dish it out, but he can't take it. He ran crying to daddy. And while Mark has denied asking Trump to make that post, regardless, that post itself has generated then a lot of reactions, because it showed Trump weighing in on the MAGA Civil War and acknowledging the power that he has in it. Yes, it seems like it's about Mark and Megyn, but it's really more than that. He's trying to send a message to anyone that dares oppose anything that he does. And notably, it's not like it's the only time Trump has done this recently. Or just over a week ago, he slammed Tucker Carlson, who's been a focal point of the MAGA Civil War and a critic of the war in Iran, with Trump telling an ABC News reporter that Tucker has lost his way. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of those things. And Tucker is really not smart enough to understand that. And now you've got Tucker Carlson making headlines because he's claiming that his stance on the war has proven so controversial that the CIA has been reading his texts to frame him for a crime.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
Now he didn't provide any evidence to prove that there is an investigation or pending charges, but he did deny that he is an agent of a foreign power, and he suggested that any alleged investigation into him would be politically motivated.
Countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. There's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland.
And while there were then a lot of different reactions to that, there was also a lot of support for him, including from Candace Owens, saying that if they come for Tucker, we ride at dawn. Really nothing else to say here. But for now, that is where we are, and this is going to continue to be an area that we should watch. Right, to see how Trump's words affect the MAGA infighting here. Right, these aren't politicians, so him condemning a personality, does that actually affect their livelihood or their audience? Or, are the people that are watching those personalities that are willing to call the president out different from those that would, support Levin and Trump kind of unconditionally? And then kind of in respect to that, is he losing more and more of his base, even if it's kind of like slow and incremental? If you've had book a doctor on your mental to-do list so long it's basically paying rent, this is your sign. Dental cleaning, annual checkup, that weird thing that you're calling probably nothing. All of it. And that's why today's sponsor, ZocDoc, is actually useful and ridiculously easy to use. ZocDoc's a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. No call-in offices, no hold music that activates your fight or flight. You can search by what's going on or who you need. Primary care, dentist, derm, eye doctor, the whole lineup. And you can choose the format. Go in person or do a video visit from your couch like a responsible adult. Plus, you get verified patient reviews, so you're not picking a doctor the way you pick a random Uber. It shows real appointment times you can book instantly, and a lot of the time you can get in fast, even same day. And I've actually personally used ZocDoc. I continue to use it, and it was so quick, I don't have the time to make excuses. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Scan that QR code or go to ZocDoc.com/Phil to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil. ZocDoc.com/Phil. This message is sponsored by ZocDoc. But then, getting back into the news, let's talk about Trump and his lackeys just going censorship crazy. Because over the weekend, FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatened to revoke the licenses from broadcasters that the agency deems as fake news or those operating with a liberal bias. Saying in a post on Twitter, broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as the fake news, have a chance now to correct course before their license renewals come up. The law is clear. Broadcasters must operate in the public interest, and they will lose their licenses if they do not. And he was specifically responding to a post on Truth Social by Trump complaining about the coverage of the war in Iran. He even called for charges of treason over it, as well as Pete Hegseth's open criticism of CNN and their coverage, or with Hegseth calling CNN fundamentally unserious and adding, the sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better. Just full mask off. We're trying to take over the news and what truth is for Trump. And specifically there, he's talking about the attempted takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, which includes CNN, right? A takeover by Paramount, which Trump's billionaire ally David Ellison owns. And all of this, it's been telegraphed. It's been a long time coming. The claim of bias in the media has been a major Trump talking point for years and years. Trump even popularized the term fake news. But this time around, one of the biggest concerns is it's gone from rhetoric to action. And in fact, Trump's Truth Social post that Carr was responding to was part of a wider posting spree about the media and the impact his administration has had on it since coming back to office. At one point, Trump shared an infographic titled "President Trump is Reshaping the Media," which highlights the defunding of PBS and NPR, the doing away with fact-checking on meta platforms, and the mass layoffs over at the Washington Post. Now with all this, with the FCC and Carr, you have some saying that they don't think that it's going to go past just threats, noting that the FCC hasn't denied a license renewal in decades, and you have CNN saying that any government action against someone holding a license would likely result in a lengthy First Amendment-centered legal battle. A public interest lawyer even arguing Chairman Carr's threats are hollow, saying he poses no genuine danger to any broadcasters' licenses based on his unhappiness with their content. And that was also echoed by the only Democrat commissioner on the FCC, Anna Gomez, who said, the FCC could issue threats all day long, but it is powerless to carry them out. Such threats violate the First Amendment and will go nowhere. Broadcasters should continue covering the news fiercely and independently without fear of government pressure. Though that's also not to say that the threat should just be shrugged off. But there are still places that the FCC holds a lot of sway, especially when it comes to acquiring or transferring a license, which is why you're seeing companies uniquely vulnerable to government pressure while trying to complete a merger. Though media advocacy groups have also argued that the threat itself does hold a lot of power, saying Carr's goal is more about pressuring news outlets into submission and self-censorship. With the legal director at the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression saying in a statement, again and again, Carr's tenure as FCC chairman has been marked by a shameless willingness to bully and threaten our free press. And all of this actually has raised alarm bells for people on both sides of the aisle. I'm not going to say equally, but we have seen it on both sides. But even as Trump's applauding Carr's move, you have a number of Republicans telling people to pump the brakes. For example, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin saying that he's not a fan of the government trying to exert control over a private enterprise or meddle with freedom of speech, and adding, "I'm in big support of the First Amendment. I do not like the heavy hand of government no matter who's wielding it. So no, I would rather the federal government stay out of the private sector as much as possible. The federal government's role is to protect our freedoms, protect our constitutional rights." So obviously, you're seeing more Democrats taking stronger stances. With California Governor Gavin Newsom, for example, calling Carr's threats flagrantly unconstitutional, and Senator Elizabeth Warren saying that it is straight out of the authoritarian playbook, and adding, "It's illegal for the government to censor free speech if it just doesn't like about Trump's Iran war." And then you had Senator Chris Murphy adding, "We aren't on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. Act like it." It seems like with every insane or just even out-of-pocket choice that the Trump administration is making, they're pushing even their allies in Congress further and further away. But then also with all of this, we've got to talk about how 1 in 8 members of Congress are not going to run for their seat again. They're just leaving it. That is the second highest number in the last century. And 60% of them are Republicans, which is a record for their party. When the people in power, they are running for the exits at a record pace in a way that we haven't seen for a generation. It tells you, yes, the state of things right now, but also it lets you know what they think is going to happen in November. But according to NPR's tracker, 13 senators and 56 House members are either retiring or running for a different office, with 3 of those senators running for governor, but they'll only resign if they win, or their seats aren't up this year, so if they lose, they can stay put. But if all 3 leave, 2026 would tie 1996 for the most Senate retirements ever recorded. And the combined total across both chambers, it's 69. That's just 3 short of the all-time record of 72 that was set in 1992. And again, the Republican side of this, it really stands out. Though to a certain degree, it does follow a trend, where the president's party tends to see more retirements ahead of the midterms because their party loses more often during the midterms. In 2018, during Trump's first term, 34 House Republicans chose not to run, which is nearly double the 18 Democrats who leapt ahead of the blue wave that flipped the House. And then under Biden in 2022, it was almost the mirror image. 31 Democrats retired compared to 18 Republicans before the GOP takeover. And a lot of these Republicans, they're looking at the same polling that you are, and they're making calculations about November. Which then brings us to the reasoning, which is kind of more of a mixed bag. Some aren't just leaving politics, right? They're running for other office. 15 are running for governor. 16 are trying to move from the House to the Senate. And 1 rep's running for Texas Attorney General. But a majority, 37 of the 69 departees, you're just leaving politics entirely. Now, age, that's a big part of it. Nearly half the members in their 80s are heading out, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Though that also means that half of the 80-plus crowd, they're staying. They're loving politics. And that includes 3 who will be in their 90s by the end of the year. You then also have others who aren't quite that old saying, it's time to pass the torch, some citing health or family, others putting it more bluntly, saying that the job just sucks. You have all of this as you have experts saying this is part of a deeper trend. Increasing partisan gridlock, polarization, safety threats, and an environment that's become genuinely toxic for anyone trying to govern rather than perform. And for Republicans specifically, obviously Trump is a huge part of the equation, but also in the opposite direction of last time. In 2024, he was a big part of the resurgence, right? This big energy. A lot of Republicans, they rode those coattails to victory. But now with Trump's approval cratering, right, the gravitational pulls going in the opposite direction. But I do also want to stress, it's not just because Trump is unpopular. It's also that distancing yourself from Trump, it's almost pretty much just as dangerous. A good chunk of these departing Republican lawmakers, they have publicly broken with the president. So that includes moderates who refuse to fall in line and former MAGA loyalists like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so you have many feeling like, okay, I'm just stuck. You can stay close to Trump, but then you lose the independents. Or maybe you break from him and then you lose the base. And so a lot of Republicans, they're doing the calculus and they're like, okay, I'm just out, I'm done. And then also, there's the whole redistricting mess. Right? Trump pushed several red states into unprecedented mid-decade map redraws to gain more Republican seats. Then also blue states countered, and now you have some members sitting in districts that they barely recognize or don't think they can win. And so with all of this, even though, there is a lot of distance from now to November, a lot of this is looking really good for the Democrats. Right? Incumbents, whether Republican or Democrat, there is usually an inherent advantage. Name recognition, institutional fundraising, established networks. It's open seats are easier to flip. So then there's also this compounding effect. As one political scientist explained it, it creates a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The exits themselves also make the losses more likely. To quickly add a personal note to this, I think part of this is kind of why my wife, Lindsay DeFranco, phenom, amazing, very excited for her. She was presented with this opportunity and the nudge to go for a House seat in Georgia. It's a state House seat in a relatively red area, but you don't do these things just because it's easy. You hope people jump into this space because they want to be a part of really positive change, be a part of the change you want to see in the world, especially when a lot of the people that are in those positions or running for those positions seem more inclined to care about, culture war BS rather than, electricity being affordable, you having health care, like you getting paid properly, schools being safe and funded, like the things that actually matter. So we'll end on actually two things here. One, for the personal bit, if you want to find out more about Lindsay running or donate to her campaign, you can go to lindsayforga.com. I love that the initials for that is LFG, because that is 100% the energy we gotta have going into November. So yeah, Lindsay is trying to flip an open seat. If you're in Georgia's District 47, check your district. Definitely wherever you are, check your local elections as well. But especially in Georgia, there's a record number of Democrats running in Georgia this year. And then two, for the rest of the races in this midterm, we'll see what happens, right? Because again, there's a lot of distance from now till November. More people drop out. Does the polling change? Which direction? There's a lot of ways this could go. But the next step from that, if you're flying anytime soon, it's very likely going to get worse. Like the partial government shutdown passed the 1 month mark. Over 300 TSA agents have quit, and one's still showing up. They're not getting paid. So lines are already getting longer at airports across the country. There's no deal in sight, and the people that are working at TSA, they're draining their retirement accounts if they even have them to make rent. Right? If you've hopped on pretty much any social media, you've seen people just waiting in these crazy long lines. And well, yes, you're seeing it in places like Austin, Texas. That's a little bit different because South by Southwest is happening. You're also seeing it across the country because you're seeing TSA employees call out sick. And that's in addition to DHS announcing on Friday that more than 300 TSA agents have quit, noting that this is the third time in 6 months that these workers are being forced to work without pay. And that timing also really matters. Union reps say that this latest shutdown is hitting workers who've never financially recovered from the longest shutdown in history last fall. But that one lasted 42 days. And even though those agents, they eventually received back pay, for many, it was too late. TSA agents make on average $50,000 a year. A lot of them, they are living paycheck to paycheck. So waiting for back pay once the shutdown's over, for a lot of them, that's not feasible. That's not real if you have to pay rent or buy food. And during that last shutdown, you had agents taking on second jobs, burning through savings, surviving on credit card debt that they're still paying off. Even just looking at October and November alone of last year, TSA data showed roughly 1,100 officers left the agency. And even though we have the 300 number this time, this is just the beginning. And workers also have fewer resources to fall back on. Last time, some got short-term, no-interest loans from banks. Nonprofits hosted events to hand out groceries and supplies. But this time, the support seems to have dried up. That said, some airports like Denver, Seattle, Las Vegas, they've started requesting donations for impacted workers. But you have agents telling reporters they're having to pull thousands of dollars from their retirement account or borrow from family. And you have industry experts saying that we're actually still a few weeks away from a real crisis point at the airports, but every day without a deal, it gets closer. And right now, it doesn't look like a solution's very close. Right on Thursday, even Senate Democrats blocking DHS funding legislation for the 4th time since the shutdown started. The Democrats saying that Republicans still won't agree to meaningful restrictions on ICE, and saying that Republican leaders rejected one of their proposals to fund TSA separately while negotiations continue. But the Democrats are trying to carve out ICE specifically so that these TSA workers and others can get paid. But you have the Republicans saying that the Democrats won't negotiate in good faith. And all the while, you have tens of thousands of TSA workers just working without pay. And you're gonna have millions of Americans still showing up to the airport wondering, why are these lines so long? Why is it wrapped around the terminal? Why is it outside? As this impacts real people in real time, there is also the question of what does this mean for the midterms? What does it mean moving forward? Who do people blame, and how do things move from there? But that, my friends, is the end of your Monday Philip DeFranco show. There was a lot to talk about. There's going to be even more to talk about. I'm just glad we got this show out for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I love your faces, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Chasing such an idiot. Are you actually chasing? You're such an idiot. tank guy. I don't know the tank guy. We might lose this. Oh god. 15 seconds. We got a tank up. At least we have something. Please get on point. Please get on point. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, no, I'm gonna lose this! What was this? There was no kills! 40 and 30, 70 kills. We've got 50. Great.
Warp drive active.
No, I think the
Docking
Lucio
permission
would be
requested.
better here, but I can't.
Docking request accepted.
I can't change, so the piece of shit developer wins. Sorry, cocksucker developer guys. What can we do? Oh, you're out of LOS, you fucking idiot! Get an LOS, get an LOS. What the fuck are you doing? Oh god. Oh. Jesus Christ, get on point. Get on point. 2, 1. I'm dead. What? I faded! I faded! What? I faded before! The fucking ults! You cocksucker developer! What the fuck's wrong with you? Come on, man, I faded before the ults! What was that? This game I'll probably never play it again after today. It's fucking crazy, but I'm gonna take it off my list. I mean it. I mean it too. You fuck me and you take my ability to fade out of the goddamn ults. I won't play your game anymore. Cocksucker! Fuck you, Blizzard! Fuck you! I'm gonna change here. I'm gonna run Lucio for this. For defend. And hit everybody. You're getting off my point. What was this piece of shit Blizzard? They let the cocksucker money go to their brain dead milk drinker heads. Fucking pieces of shit. Fuck you. This is like the last time I ever play your game. And I mean it too. This is the last time. This is the last game, I think. This is the last time I ever play Overwatch. I'm fucking serious too. If you won't let me fade out of that and I lose the competitive match for it, I'm gone, bitch. Your worthless piece of shit game can suck a fucking dick. You fire Jeff Kaplan, I fire you, asshole. Get to the point now. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yes, come here. Come here. We don't have any room. We don't have any room. Stand on the fucking point. Do it. Yep. Stand on the point. They've got 27 meters. This is the truth. This is the fucking truth, motherfucker. It's the truth. When I faded and nothing happened and I was killed in the Sigma alt, I didn't want to play the game ever again. And you think I'm kidding, but no. This will be the last time I ever play Overwatch. It's fucking crazy. But no, the piece of shit cocksucker developer, they won this one. I'm sorry, guys. The developer won this one. They bungled this so bad, I'm never going to play it again. Jesus Christ. When my fade didn't work for that fucking alt, I was just like, no, I don't want to play your game ever again. Sorry. Stupid, worthless piece of shit Eve pilot wasted so much of my fucking time. Fucking stupid cocksucker.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back. You know, in recent years, survival games have become one of my favorite genres, up there with MMOs. I really love the sense of adventure and exploration, coupled with all of the fun and funny moments that you can get from a good survival title. So it has become a genre that I keep a close eye on every year, in hopes that a new one comes out that brings me more of that sort of entertainment, right? So let's see what's in the pipeline for 2026, shall we? Jumping right in, first up on the
I'm gonna go play a game of Fortnite, but I gotta log into Rust first.
list is Windrose, a pirate-themed survival game where you're sailing the seas, exploring islands full of enemy camps, ancient ruins, and temples, while on the hunt for treasure. In the process, you'll be solving puzzles, gathering resources, and collecting gear, while fending off human and supernatural foes engaged in both on-foot and ship-to-ship combat. Now, I've actually played a fair bit of this game back last year when it was called Crosswinds. The name change came somewhat recently, along with a brand new demo that hit Steam Next Fest just last month. And while I've yet to check out this latest build, I can tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed what I played of it last year, and from what I've heard, the game's just gotten better. The developer describes Windrose as a survival adventure set in an alternate age of piracy, featuring the classic build, craft, survive formula that unfolds across both land and sea. While on land, you'll be doing the expected building, crafting, exploration, and gradual progression, setting up footholds, your own little bases in diverse biomes, then over time expanding those into large outposts. The game uses procedural world generation with seeds, sort of like what you get in Minecraft, so when you start your own save, you're going to get your version of the world spun up, unique with its own exact layout, different from anyone else's. And then that world is divided into these distinct biomes, or archipelagos in this particular case, with their own look, feel, enemy variety, resource type, and progression throughout them. Lots of different points of interest types with over 100 handcrafted dungeons in the game. And then also when you're out at sea, you're going to be taking command of a ship, sailing it across the ocean, engaging in naval combat, boarding enemy vessels, and moving seamlessly between ship and shore. And this is actually really well done. There's no cutscenes or anything. You're just kind of full on sailing your ship. You go up to where you want on an island, drop anchor, jump off. Sometimes you can even get in your own little dinghy and row to shore if you want. There's also a variety of ship types, sizes, and speeds with various customization options. The combat is action-based. In fact, the devs go as far as to call it Souls-light. And from what I recall, it was a simple but engaging system. You've got a mix of melee and ranged options. I remember using a cutlass in one hand and a flintlock in the other. Would open up with some range headshots and then finish them off with melee slashes when they got close. And they've got a bunch of different weapons: sabers, rapiers, halberds, greatswords, pistols, muskets, and more. There's also full-on RPG-style gearing in the game with various stats and sets tailoring to certain playstyles. You can go with a bleed build, a ranger, a tank build, whatever. And they've got full-on boss fights in there too, which were actually pretty good. Yeah, again, I really liked what I played of this last year. All of the feedback that I've heard has said the latest build has been really good as well. In fact, that demo is still available right now on Steam if you want to check it out for yourself. Yeah, I think things are looking pretty bright for this one. Windrose is expected to launch this year with a target window of soon. No exact date has been announced, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of shadow drop this at some point in the coming months. We'll see. Before we continue on with the list, though, let's get a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Prism 2033. This is an open world RPG built around the core concept of parallel worlds. Developed with Unreal Engine 5, the game takes place in this photorealistic future city torn between these parallel realities. You'll explore an expansive open world that delivers a console-level gameplay experience with a strong emphasis on immersion and deep interaction with the surrounding environment. Out on your journey, you'll move freely between the multiple parallel open worlds, each featuring its own distinct visual style, dedicated quest lines, and unique content, offering a high level of exploration and replayability. Whether you're engaging in a high-speed sports car driving, aerial combat, or bank heist, you've got the freedom to do what you like rather than following a strict linear narrative. Then beyond the action, you'll experience a dynamic, interactive world where you can talk to almost every passerby through AI-generated dialogue. Developed by the team behind Dragon Raha, the game features deep character customization with those realistic high-fidelity visuals. Prism 2033 launches on March 16th for PC, with a mobile version also planned. Click the link in the description below to visit the official website and pre-register now for a special in-game bonus and prepare for your journey across the parallel worlds. Alright, back into the list. This next game just recently got revealed and has very much piqued my interest. It's called The Legend of California. The game is being developed by Kinsu Gamaya, a new studio founded by World of Warcraft legend Jeff Kaplan. Now, the pedigree aside, I'm quite intrigued based on the limited gameplay footage that we've seen thus far. I think this looks very promising. So it's an open world action survival shooter set on the mythical island of California during the Gold Rush era. We're going to be exploring a vast untamed frontier and forging our legacy either alone or
I don't like the hype mill. I'm gonna get off it.
Ali Sauma led a resistance against the government.
Hey everyone, what's up?
Autopilot engaged. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Check, 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 check.
Approaching Stargate.
Okay, I'm gonna jump on the pilot helm and I'm gonna get off this game. I have to log here, unfortunately, and I may be done for the night. I don't really know.
Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate.
Okay, I'm gonna
Autopilot jumping.
stop this stream. I love you guys. I've got to go take care of.
Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
No, the comment. It's just dumb. I'm not gonna leave it.
Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping.
Okay, I'm going to go, guys. I love you. You've been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer. Click on the cast space to donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or follow. I have family man responsibilities that I've got to go deal with tonight, unfortunately. And I will be gone for the evening, unfortunately. But I mean, you know, as long as somebody else's life is taking precedence over mine, you're living on planet Earth. I love you guys. Goodbye.